Hey everyone! I know it's been a few weeks since me and Sean have last chatted, but an exciting few weeks. A bunch of updates. We're gonna go over the Q, the financials, the K today. Kind of year to date stuff. Talk about some of the high levels. But first things first, Sean, how are you?
I'm doing great, Jason. It is nonstop, so we're gonna have to keep it short today, okay?
I'll try my best. I'll try my best, and we'll see how much you talk. But
All I want to do is talk about night food, so I'll need to have some discipline as well.
well, for sure. Well, hey, let's kick it off. Financial stuff. For a lot of people, maybe not the most exciting, but definitely a pretty good financial report. Gross sales up 142% over last year. Do you want to kind of chat about that and maybe intro some of the other high level?
Yeah, sure. I mean, in all the metrics that anybody would track, we're improving in terms of showing sales velocity, in terms of the number of units, gross sales. We're talking more about pints than we had ever really talked about. I don't know if we've ever talked about pints because what we found is that this year we got into some really major supermarket chains. We've secured space, shelf space, valuable shelf space in divisions of Albertsons and Kroger and HEB, and I think that's three of the five or six largest supermarket chains in the country. And with some of these come slotting expenses, which are just a cost of doing business, standard operating procedure in the consumer goods space, and in the ice cream space, it tends to be a little more expensive because freezer space is expensive space in the stores. It's prime real estate. So what we found was that with slotting, even if you're growing your customer base, you're growing your doors, you're shipping more pints, more consumers are buying more ice cream, but because of the way slotting is accounted for on the books of a public company, it doesn't show up as revenue. It shows up as what we call gross sales. It doesn't show up as revenue. And so we figured it's simpler if we just talk about pints because we don't have to think about the accounting of it. It's just, hey, more ice cream is a good thing. And so everybody understands that. So what we reported right after the K came out was that we did 262,574 pints in fiscal 2020, which is the year that ended in June 30th. And I've got my notes here, so I get the numbers exactly right. The prior year, 63,041 pints. So that's a huge, huge growth. I think it's up over 300%. And also our store count was up tremendously. Our store count went from about 190 at the end of last fiscal year to over 700 this fiscal year. And also we reported that this past quarter, the quarter just ended September 30th, we did just under 100,000 pints. It was 99,357 pints. So obviously trending up. We've got more distribution, of course, coming. We're looking forward to growing the distribution that we have here, continuing to grow it in 2021. The other thing is a lot of times with these expenses, these slotting expenses, sometimes you might have to pay a little bit for the, like if you swap out a flavor or some other things, but you don't typically, you never have to pay full price for the second year or subsequent years. So there's tremendous value in the space that we have on the shelves of these supermarkets, and we're just happy that we have those spots, and we're going to just keep working and grinding and selling more and more and more ice cream to more consumers, and we're going to get into more stores, and we're just going to keep working this thing, and we're just super excited about 2021. A lot of big things happening.
Yeah. No, awesome. A crazy high level. Obviously, pint sales up, 300%. Stores up like crazy as well. Getting close to 800 by the sounds of it. That's awesome. I guess the final question: where do you hope to be next year?
Well, we got asked that on the investor call as well. We don't want to make the mistake. I mean, as a small young company, I think trying to get too specific, we've learned there are just too many things that can happen, good or bad, that can make you look foolish at this stage. We've got our models, and we know what we're focusing on. But for the shareholders out there and the investors, what they should see is what we would call generally up and to the right. And that's what we want to keep working on, up and to the right. And if we do that, then we're moving in the right direction, and we're establishing ourselves, as the leaders, and we are the leaders, but we're growing ourselves as the leaders in the category. And specifics, we'll do that when we look back and see. That's when we'll talk publicly about what was accomplished.